Baseball is the only sport that when you're in control of the ball, you're on defense. All other sports, football, basketball, whatever, if you got the ball, you're trying to score. I was 17 years old. The Chicago Cubs sent former Major League slugger Jimmy Fox down to Class B to manage their team in that league. Fox, home run hitter, challenged Babe Ruth for the home run lead. I think in 1932, hit 58 and almost tied Ruth's 60 home run season. I happened to be pitching when he inserted himself as a pinch hitter. I was happy then that I had a 44-year-old catcher who came out and said, "Don't throw this guy anything off speed." He went back behind the plate and we threw Jimmy about 4 fastballs and struck him out. After the game, as we were leaving the ballpark, Fox is surrounded by a few sports writers. He says, "I don't know how anybody hits under these lights." So
Jack was a man of faith. He was a man of integrity, and he had a sort of almost Pied Piper kind of way with young people. People liked to be around him. He was a storyteller. He is, I'm sure, a storyteller still.
When it came time to look for a baseball coach, and one with a master's degree and one who was a pastor and could teach religion courses in addition to physical education courses, he fit in very well.
There's never any pushback and flack about we're overdoing the athletic program or we're pulling the students out of class too much for baseball games and all this kind of stuff. He was always straight arrow about these are the days they'll be gone and here are the makeup times I've scheduled. You know, he was always into the academic section. I mean, baseball was never the god that ruled everything else. As can sometimes happen, he was always concerned about they're coming to class and they're doing academics.
I always found it interesting, with him being a clergyman, that he didn't wear his clerical collar out on the field. He took that off, but I do remember times when there might have been something like a really questionable call, and I'm thinking of him walking out there to confront the umpire. And how do you do that as a clergyman? You probably have the 8th commandment in your mind about putting the best construction on everything, yet you've got to defend your team. And so he always had a good way of letting his opinions be known, but doing it in a very gentlemanly way that always represented his other profession quite nicely.
When he coached, he kind of barked in a way that kind of instructed the moment in the game. And he didn't say much. He was just sort of stoic, and he would just kind of watch. And then all of a sudden there'd be this bark, this guttural bark that came out of him that was instructing his players. And obviously he was successful. I mean, he had a lot of good teams. And it was fun to see those boys play, and it was fun to see him coach.
I had the privilege of attending Lutheran High South in St. Louis growing up, and Coach Faszholz was our athletic director. And I played baseball at Lutheran South, and Coach Faszholz was my coach both my junior and my senior year on the varsity team. And what I remember about Coach Faszholz is that he cared about winning, but he cared more about your character and your integrity. And he taught us how to be men. And in the process, I think we became winners.
Being that I looked up to him, I wanted to do well for him, and I was self-motivated to do that. He made you as a player want to do the best for him.
I was always under the impression that nobody was knowingly trying to screw up or goof off, and always was of the opinion that for those players that came out were always interested in improving their skills and their knowledge, and I didn't think that any other approach would enhance that desire. The more you played, the more experience you got and worked at your skills, that was the purpose of being involved in the whole thing.
He would pitch to us, and then I think he would hit a ground ball to us also in the infield. I went into the hole, and I backstabbed the ball, and it hit my glove and just fell. And he says, Eddie, he says, you need to, he says, treat it like it's an egg. You need to cushion that ball. One time when I was catching a fly ball into the sunlight, and I had put my hand up into the air, and I got blinded by the glare of the sun. And after that inning was over, he says, Eddie, use your glove to block the sun. And, you know, just something that nobody ever told me about that I learned from him, you know, so that was his subtle way of coaching.
It's funny, times have changed. There was sort of a code among players at that time that you don't hot dog in front of the fans. If you know, you make an outstanding play or something, that's part of the game, and you know, and all of this. When you hit the home run, throw the bat up in the air, and all that. I have a souvenir Cardinal jersey that I happened to come into possession of quite by accident. And I know it's mine because they've embroidered my name on the shirt tail. Because in my day, there wasn't this selling of jerseys and batting helmets and there were some promotions, but nothing like it is today.
Baseball's been in my blood since I was about 7 years old, and all the way through. I've got a son. When he was 5 years old, I started coaching him, and there was another coach that was was kind of an assistant coach, and so I did Little League. I was on the Little League board in Elgin, and I was always the soft-spoken coach. You know, there was the manager and myself. He was the one that was always yelling and getting on the boys, and I was kind of like stoic like Coach Faszholz was, and I think I learned that from him.
I would describe Coach as a man of modesty, a man of humility, a man who taught us, if we were watching, how to deal with adversity and challenges in life through the game of baseball. He was an influencer on my life with how he responded when things weren't going well as much as when they were going well. I had no idea the man had 128 professional wins as a pitcher himself. I had to research it and find that out. He was not going to talk about himself, but he was really a representative of what we're to be in life, and that's Christ-like.
I'm a little bit surprised at nomination for a Hall of Fame here. Just a great honor. What experiences I'd had there was worthy of consideration. That's good to feel. and experience. I had anticipated that I would be able, or asked to speak. One of them was going to be my own personal Hall of Famer over there, 1951. So we're in our 64th year. It was just a challenging and yet very enlightening and enjoyable experience. Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Jack, I just can't wait to see you again. And gosh, if there's anybody that also, from a staff standpoint, deserves to be there, it's you.
Coach Faszholz, congratulations and for the induction into the Hall of Fame. You have touched my life and probably a lot of other players, because through you I was able to coach boys from 5 years all the way through 18 years of age, inspiring them and teaching them about baseball and how to become a good person and grow up as a Christian man.
Jack, I'm so happy that you're here to accept your award. I've long thought that you should have been our first person that we put into the Hall of Fame, and I'm so happy that you're here and that we're sharing this moment with you. Well done, Jack.
Well, Coach, I want to say, first of all, congratulations on a well-deserved honor of being inducted into the Concordia Hall of Fame. For me personally, you actually were one of the top people in my life who influenced me to who I became as a man, not just as an athlete. So I want to say thank you for that. You were a leader in life, not just as a coach. The fact that you were a minister gave me the opportunity to see how to conduct life with a Christ-like example. So most importantly, that's what you've done in life, even beyond your years at Concordia. I learned a lot from you. I'm thankful for the time that God gave me with you, and you actually are inspiring to me because you still continue to live life for the kingdom, and I appreciate that in you, and I always did back then. I didn't realize how important that example was until I became an adult and learned how important our example is. So thank you for that.
Jack, you have been a role model to me personally, and you are a hero to us all. I congratulate you and just want to end by saying, well done, thou good and faithful servant.